So welcome to the weekly BrainDrive development update call. We do these every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're working on getting this live, but for now we're doing a recording, which will be posted. Hopefully next week we'll actually do our live stream. So stay tuned for that. I'm Dave Waring. I'm the co-creator of BrainDrive, and I handle the operations side here.
And I'm David Jones. I am the other co-creator, and I handle the tech stack side.
Great. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to make it easy to build, control, and benefit from your own AI system. If you're not familiar with BrainDrive, I've included a link to a short overview video of what we do here and what we're all about. So I encourage you to watch that. And for the rest of us, we'll jump into the weekly dev call. We always like to start off with a couple celebrations. Anything stick out to you from last week, Dave, on the
Uh,
celebrations front?
Easily just the install procedure being ironed out. Be able to move from an update or an install, being able to update it, and then if, oh my God, I don't like this plugin, let me get rid of it. And seeing, because when we started this conversation, it was comparing to WordPress and how they handle things, and looking at that as I don't want to say a goal, but more of a direction. Because I'm sure with AI and our plugins and our own system, we'll have to veer in different ways. But to see it get closer and mature a bit is for me a big celebration, because it was like one of those things we could do this, and now we're doing this type thing. Um,
Awesome. Yeah, for me as well, because now we're going to be able to move on to involving other
yep,
developers and I think really start to accelerate our development process, which, up to this point, it's just been you. So being
yep.
able to add some additional development help in will be big. And then we made a lot of progress on the BrainDrive ModelMatch, we're calling it now, our evals marketplace last week, which we'll talk about later in the call, which is exciting. Any challenges from last week?
Just getting, because we're dealing with, as we said, our Katie Carter group. And even from developer standpoint, the more you can get AI to assist, and how to get that to facilitate that happen from my side. And that is the challenge of working on that prompt that any developer, from, in fact, non-developer or developer, and if you're an owner, I forget our terms.
Builder or
Oh, there you
entrepreneur?
go, builder. That was the one I was stuck on. Or yeah, or an entrepreneur. If wherever you're at, if you can take this prompt and explain what you're looking to do, and my goal is to hopefully 100%, but logically aim for high 90s, that it's there. And the better you can explain what you're trying to accomplish, the better it can get you there. And then the second prompt is critique the outcome, because that can clean up a lot of little messes that may not have been there. So you can tell the AI, hey, develop this. And then you give it the second one, take a look at what you developed. These are the checklists that are required, and get you even closer to 100%. That turned out to be a little bit more challenging, only because I have a lofty goal of 100%.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, from my side, we really want to involve the community and in the development process. And I think we're sort of bootstrapping that with some contractors that we're giving projects to. And we found someone really good to work on our Brain Drive concierge model. But was really only interested in sort of a short-term project,
Yep.
which is good,
Yep.
but now kind of figuring out how to transition that ball to someone else, is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but something that we'll have to figure out because we do want people to kind of, I think we both sort of anticipate some people coming in just doing one or two
Yep.
things, some people coming in and doing a bunch over the long term and those types of things. So we'll have to
Like,
figure that out.
thank you for one step, and then looking for always people to handle the mile.
Yep.
Both of them help.
Yep, exactly. So that was a little bit of a challenge from last week that we'll discuss later in the call. And then we have our agenda items from last week. We also have the roadmap. I'll include a link to all of this in the description section of the video. Let me just share real quick. So yeah, why don't we? So we're on version point 0.3
Yep.
for this week, and this is the second week of development on version point 0.3. And I think that was your main focus for last week as well, right, Dave?
Yes, yes. And we're all around looking good. Um, I won't say the only thing not accomplished because it's really not. I managed to, like, using the template and all like that. I have two bad plugins that I'm playing with because they were completely developed with AI. So I'm keeping them bad, not because I mean, it'd be take me 2 seconds to fix them because I found out what was wrong, but it's like the AI did something I didn't anticipate. So me using those bad ones to better prompt the AI to do what I want it to do. But overall, it's like, hey, the entire install process updates. It does require, as we discussed last week, the hard reset or refresh of the browser to get the actual new updated plugin to load. But I already have two plans on how I'm going to accomplish that this week. Hey, good thing for a little step away, kind of refresh my brain.
Yep. Cool. All right. So we have this, but there's a little bit of an issue with the refresh, right?
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
caching issue.
yeah. That's exactly what it is. React likes to really hard cache things. And I put a little cache buster in there originally that in theory should have worked. For some reason it's not. So what I'm going to do is basically, because in cache they just put some random number on there, but I'm going to make sure that in the cache everything is version centric, so it matches the version that's installed. So when that changes, it'll upgrade that as well.
Great.
And that should solve our problem.
And no reason why we can't go ahead and launch point three with that noted as a bug, right?
Correct, correct. As soon as we get done with this call, I'm going to move to moving the repo that I'm working on over to the main, so people can start exploring and playing with that.
Nice. All right, exciting. And then plug in metadata and update system in place. That's
Yep,
done.
yep,
Good. And then the examples you have, and you'll continue to work on those.
yep. Yeah,
All right.
especially like because we're talking about working on working on the what we want people to help us on type documentation from my standpoint, so that we can get other developers involved, and that I'll put involved so people can play with that.
Okay. Cool. And is there anything you want to show system wise this week?
Sure, we can. We went through it Friday, but we can go through it again just because there's always little nuances and changes.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and share my screen. There we are. Google Chrome. There we go. I'm back to my lovely little dark colors.
It's
Just my
growing on me.
yeah, I like it, but I also it's like, hey, it's taste. Everybody always has it, and which is why I want to see a plugin at some point where so right now the color schemes between light and dark, but my vision for this is a plugin that just exposes the colors so that people can go, hey, I want some orange on there. You can have some orange. Go right
Right.
ahead. We're not going to stop you.
Right.
Um, and so, but that'll come because
Change the logo, everything, whatever you
yep.
want to do.
Exactly. You can do if you want to change BrainDrive up in the far left, to sit whatever you want, be Mike's brain. So that every time you logged in, it's Mike's brain. You got it. Have a nice day. That's the mentality there. So
Cool.
if you want to install a plugin, it's quick. Just go here. This is my little test link. Drop that in there. One of the changes from last week when the demo, instead of multiple columns, it'll actually now go check out from GitHub, find out what the latest version is so you can display it. If for some reason, let's say somebody develops a plugin that the current version has a bug in it. This will allow the person to go, okay, I want to do 107, do zero point zero 0.07 versus 0.08 because somebody said on forums that one's bugged, and allow you to get around that and still use the system. And of course, it'll let you know as we probably can't get around that, but it does handle on the plugin manager as we just show in the video. If there is an update available, it will let you know. We have
Cool.
that. All you do is the simple click the button and it starts taking care of everything for you. It's pretty quick. It's pretty simple. Um, and GitHub is always there. So it's kind of almost the best one to use as a backdrop right now for everything until we get to the marketplace type discussions. So
Great. So we envision people being able to develop a plugin, put it on GitHub, and then you just add the GitHub link here and you're off to the races.
yep, exactly.
Awesome.
And then our plugin is now available. There we go. Oh, it's telling me it's an update. Oh, probably because of the caching. I didn't quite play in that. Uh, We'll see what it's going to do because it's dealing with caching. There we go. Oh, and it did update for me.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. So the update works. Yeah, I didn't realize what was going on behind the scenes because I've been playing with it this morning. Um, but yeah, then your update is finished, and we can go over here. I have a little test page that I've been working on. There is our new plugin that we were just playing with and installed. I'm playing with other plugins and working with the template. So one of the templates that I did was I want to do a customer review. If you're an entrepreneur and you're developing a page, you might give a demo page out to people to let them get free so they can play with like that, have reviews on there. So I was like, hey, let's see how the AI does handling that the first shot out type thing. So I was pretty happy with the results and far as it did everything. I gave it a picture for the review, and it hit it right on. Um,
Okay.
so and it has multiple reviews in the backside, and then it starts spinning through after a few minutes. And yeah, like I said, just was an experiment to see what it would do. Um, so let's go to the plugin manager now, because we've decided that we don't need to keep an eye on our network status for whatever reason, and so we're just going to go ahead and get rid of it. And it's simple as that.
Super snappy too.
Yeah, it doesn't need to do much. It just gets rid of it, and then, hey, now you can move on to bigger and better things. And if clear, and one of the key things why we've gone with the plugin system versus throwing everything in the kitchen system is now that's out of the way. It's no longer bogging down in any size, code, bandwidth whatsoever. And if your goal is to have a very lean system that you know 100% what's there, this is how you can do that.
Awesome. Great
Yep.
progress.
Yep. So people
Go ahead. Sorry.
completely own their own system.
There we go. All right. So that's that. And then, so the overarching goal is to get things so devs can get fully up and running and install, and documentation wise, this includes tech steps, but also what this is and how to use it docs. Where are we at with that?
The template, I want to say it works 50-50. I mean, it does a really good job. It just misses sometimes some like the lifecycle manager, which handles the install, update, and the delete code. For some reason, it wants to miss every once in a while one of those pieces, and that's just AI being AI.
Right.
And that's where I came up with a your initial prompt. Right now, it's batting 50-50, whether it's perfect or it has one little nuance. It needs a second prompt, I think, for a developer you or not or whoever's doing it. You do the first one, it's going to get you there. And then you do the second one. It's all it is a checklist. Make sure you have this, make sure you have this, make sure you have this type stuff. And that should clean up any of the little issues because they're always just something small. It decided to rename a function for some strange reason type stuff.
So what's left to be done before we can give a project to a developer to build a plugin for us?
Uh, Not much. I would say me when I get this update done or I push it live. Um the documentation is I mean, I wouldn't call it 100%, but it's a good first step in the right direction. The template, again, a good first step. If you're a developer type thing, you're not going to run into the same problems that Katie Carter is and like that. You know VS Code, you'll see the error hit and you go, okay, let me go look here and find out what I'm missing type stuff. So for a developer standpoint, like I said, once I push this and here's the template, we'll start going. I'll start working on the critiquing template. We'll add that to the list of what people have access to because it'll be right in the GitHub. Um, Probably start working on the plugin repository like we spoke about originally on not issue, but version 0.1, and so that people can always have a place to look at where the most recent plugin material is located at. And then we will slowly migrate the entire project to using it.
Yeah, so it sounds like the AI thing you're talking about is really not for developers. That's for non-developers to kind of use.
Yep. And for a developer standpoint, it will just give you a jump start. It's like if you're new to the system, it's just with it as with anything, you have a lot of, where's this class located at? How should this be structured at?
Yeah.
If you're a new developer and like today or tomorrow, one of the first things I want to do when I have this working is take it, do a hello world plugin, which all it's going to do is display the words hello world, because everybody doing programming knows that. That's your first step. So to do a video and then break down in the video what it did so that developers can see it. They can be exposed to it for the first time. This is what this function does. This is what that function does. We can upload it. And that way, anybody touching this for the first time, from a developer standpoint, can go through the process, see where things correlate to into the back end, and get up and started. That way, they're not starting from scratch, trying to get it worked out. They have a little, this is how everything fits together type video.
So when do you think we'll be able to give a project to a developer to build a plugin?
I want to go with early this week.
Early this week?
Yeah, yeah. I see no reason. Like I said, I was working on our list that we talked about at the end of last week, and all of the material is there. I think the only thing anybody needs to see is just, hey, my smiley little face, just trying to, explain how things go to a little hello world type video, and then we can make ourselves available if somebody wanted to sit down and talk and hammer, because that's how we're going to learn as well. What do developers need? What more
Yeah.
do they need? Type
So
thing.
yeah, I mean, I think a good to-do list item is to put together an overview of a plugin that we want someone to build and give it out to a couple developers and
Yep.
ask them for feedback on the process and kind of do like we did with the install process as
Yep.
well. But hopefully we get a few plugins out of this one.
Exactly. 'Cause
Cool.
that's what I was looking at, after doing the list. And it's like a Hello World's a great place to start with because any developer knows it. It's critical for, it's like that little development life cycle of learning.
Yep. All right, cool. And then point four, core interaction polished.
Yep.
Um, is that what do we think, if
Let's
anything, for
see.
this week on that?
Okay, let me think. Let me look at this because, okay, local automatically. Okay, we don't have that. We're close, but we're not quite. And that we can use BrainDrive Concierge for that model right there. Um, but we're really closer to that one than I want to, the local model run. We're probably closer to that than I realize, because it already loads up the when you initially log in, or yeah, your first time, you have Llama settings already set up for you. The only thing we need to improve is if you had just installed a Llama for the first time, you don't have a model yet. That correlation right there, needs to be handled. The interface right now, we're pretty stable. It doesn't blow up in my face. I was making a list. One of the beautiful things of coming back this morning, I was like, muscle memory was wiped out. So I went through the entire app while I was right like that and came up with a small list of little things to clean up, but they're all very minor. And most of it's like, it's not even broken on the front end. It's broken that I see in the back end. As far as like, it'll come up with a little error.
Okay.
Let's see. UI UX feedback implemented. Um, I don't think
Yeah,
we've.
so I think this week that is, or this next step, V.4 is all about like polishing our
Yep.
core interaction.
Yep.
So making sure that we have that really rocking.
Yeah.
And for
And
me, the local model runs automatically is oh, I guess that is right. That's BrainDrive Concierge, basically.
we have BrainDrive Concierge at the end as well. So that's, that'll I'll start working on immediately, and because I already had, like, I've been working on that, so that the idea is if we can get that to work without a llama,
Yeah.
that would be like a little perfect. So it doesn't matter what you have, you can get help. It might be a
Yep.
little slow, and then we'll introduce Olama being able to manage that through the interface so that you don't ever have to leave to do Olama stuff and like that. You just do it right from here. And I have
All
that on
right.
my list.
Cool. So V.4 items for this week. All right, and then for my stuff for last week, the eval marketplace overview, which we're now spitballing as BrainDrive model match.
Yeah.
We put together this overview document based on the call and I that Dave had on this, that Dave and I had on this last week. And we overall want to, the overall idea here is right now, Hugging Face is the main place that people go for open
Hmm.
source models, and they have over 1 million models, and that's great. And they really cater to researchers. But as we've seen from the local llama Reddit community and elsewhere, there's constantly people coming in and just asking, what's the best general model to get started with locally in particular? What's the best model for specific types of use cases? And so we really feel like there's a gap in the market for people who just want, like, I don't need 1 million models. Like, I just need the best model for as a general thing to run on my computer that matches this hardware specs, or I'm looking for something very specific, like I want it to be a therapist, or I want it
Yep.
to do a legal contract review, et cetera. And what's the best model for these specific scenarios? So we envision a much smaller set of focus models on the best models for the top use cases,
Yep.
is what this would be. And we want to start with the main question that people have when they come into this for the first time is, what model size can I run on my computer, or what
Yep.
models can I run on my computer? And then we have a curated model directory where our benchmarks are much more around use cases and case studies versus numbers and math,
Yep.
is what we're talking about, and just making it really easy to say, like, if you're doing article summarization, this is the best model for that. Here's how we tested it. Here's the paces that we put this through, so you can look at it for yourself, etc.
And it's not just to stop you right there, is that's even when I was putting my list of plugins for other developers to help out, I realized we almost need to look at the page standpoint of, like you said, an article summarization. We have a page, and if a developer wants to help us, and what we use for our own test case as well, we develop a page that handles that. That's its job. So that way
Yep.
it's focused on doing that 110%, and everybody uses the same tool that we use. It's like if somebody wants to get involved rather than doing one plugin, they have control over the entire page and the entire concept then. And you
Yep.
don't have to worry about how something's going to talk to something else then, because you just control it all. You have a good day as from a developer standpoint.
Yep, that's gonna be awesome. And then doing content around this, right?
Hmm.
So putting out, this is a new model just dropped. We put it through the paces. Here it is on BrainDrive. Here's what it's doing. Lots of great content opportunities to help get the word out around BrainDrive. And then for our sustainability pillar, we've started to think about revenue options that don't sacrifice our values and
Yep.
actually build on what we're trying to do here with our mission of making it easy to build, control, and benefit from your own AI system. So obviously, just the BrainDrive ecosystem awareness, whatever we decide to launch as revenue generating
Yep.
products around this, building bridges, not walls, for our community, some potential affiliate opportunities, and clearly labeled sponsored listings. We won't put it, we're not going to do any of this like right out of the gate, but once we get this going, we want to make
Yeah.
sure that we can fund it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think as you said, get our what we believe in, our pillars in place first before we let anybody touch it and alter the results. So that way people can see when somebody is sponsoring something or like that, it doesn't change what they're seeing.
yep, 100%. Um, so yeah, so we really like the trip advisor for open source
Yeah.
models is what the AI came up with. I kind of like that. And then we have a detailed overview here, which I'll put in the forum and link to in the description for the call. Anything else you want to add there, Dave?
No, I like that though, the trip advisor, because we were like on that last week. So it's like it really is perfect. It's you put down the qualifications of what you're looking for, poof, here's your best model.
Yep. Cool. And then we have a developer that started building the wizard that's going to,
Yep.
you'll be able to input your computer specs in it, and it will tell you what models it can run. And he actually sent me through a 30-minute video this morning that I didn't have a chance to watch for the call about what he's done so far, but he's making good progress on that. I want to get him posting in the forum so everybody can see what he's doing on that.
Yep.
And then I have another developer that I did a call with Friday who is putting together the evaluation process and the case study process. I figured we'd start with article summarization as
Yep.
the test case. You
Yep.
talked about that several times, Dave. So he's going to put together like a one pager on like, this is what I want to put together for this, and this is how I'd put it through the paces. You and I will talk about that, and then he's going to be off to the races to put that together. I've got a call with him to go over that tomorrow. So we're making good progress on that, and we'll continue to make progress on that this week.
Nope, sounds good to me. Because yeah, article summarization, it's like it's one of the premier uses of AI. It's like you even see Grammarly doing that. It's like,
Yep.
oh, you sent me a message I don't understand because it's tech jargon like that. Put it down in my terms, or here's a lot of text. Can you just give me the 5 points you were talking about?
Yep. Yep. Cool. And then I'll just show this real quick, which is the video for BrainDrive Concierge from Matt, the developer that's been working on
Yep.
that. So he's got that not only answering, but also giving the
Yep.
relevant links to the forum. So I think the one thing that he's hung up with was just getting those links to be clickable, which,
That is probably will require an improvement in the chat plugin.
yeah. And
So
I
it
would
knows what
just
to do.
say also, like, people having to copy and paste those links in is
Yep.
not the end of the world. It's obviously not where we want to end up fully, but this
Yep.
is, I'd say, for, out of the box, this is pretty good. Um, so now going forward, what's your thoughts on it? Seems like I'll see if he want it's the last message that I got from him was basically like, I think this project's done for me,
Yep.
basically, and he's got other stuff that he's working on.
Yep.
So what are we thinking in terms of what's the best option for continuing to move forward with this?
I would probably go with A. I you don't know if he. I know we had the data set list that he created. His workflow that way because hey, he did everything we wanted right now. It's working. But as with everything, as soon as you and I really start hammering on this, we're going to come up with okay, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And Matt may not be there, hit by a bus syndrome. We all, you have to plan for that. If he can write down his workflow so that if Matt's not available when we have that list, we can easily pass off. Here's this how this was developed. Here's the data list. We would like to, also do this. And can you continue this ball run
All
for
right, so
us?
I'll just ask him for, we're going to hand this off to another developer to
Yep.
continue developing it in the future. Could you please just give us like a bullet point
Yep.
list of what you did to make this that we can hand over to the
Yep.
developer?
Exactly. That way we're safe in moving forward as well. And if Matt's available and wants to continue it, that's hey, we're not shutting that down either. We're just
Right.
making sure that when that speed bump comes across, we're ready.
Okay, so let me get that on the list here. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. And then local memory working. Beck says he has it working with Quinn 38B, which the
Hmm.
Quinn models seem to be the best thing
There's
out there right now.
they're state of the art as far as running local is concerned right now.
Yep. And he said they have tool calling, and so I have a call with him tomorrow to get that set up on my computer. And assuming it, well, even if it doesn't work, I'll still post the video on the forum. So we're continuing to make
Yep.
progress on brain drive memory as well. Hopefully have a local version memory to show on the call next week. Okay. And then also from my side, I'm about 90% of the way there on a local guide to the ultimate guide to local AI.
Yep.
I'm calling it right now. So I should have that done for next week too.
Back on the local memory, um, is he still sticking with just an API, or is he? Because I remember we talked a little bit about this, or is he also going to incorporate NCP into it?
He's going to incorporate MCP into it, but as a um,
Wrapper for the API.
oh, that.
Yes.
So we're going to be able to hook up to MCP as one of the data sources coming
Yep.
in, but you're talking about actually going out.
Yes, I was just curious on because my brain was working on doing RAG and we have CAG and how to handle all of that, and rather than deal with API, which is it's easy enough, but if we do everything through MCP, which let's be blunt, everybody's heading towards, if somebody whatever your RAG is doing, however you want to build it, you can, because we'll all communicate through the same protocol. It just will, allow it a little better plug and play experience for an end user.
I don't see any reason why he can't. I mean, it
Yep.
seems to me like it's pretty simple to set it up as MCP once you
Yeah.
have the API, right?
Yep. Yep, I was just
Yeah,
wondering where he was heading, because I know where my brain was already heading on answering certain questions, because we have them coming up for BrainDrive as well, incorporating MCP into it.
cool. Yeah, we'll do that. That shouldn't be any issue.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it in terms of for the roadmap for next week. We have or for the agenda items for next week, resolve caching issues, created JD for a plugin and give to a couple contractors to try and build
Yep.
v.o.4 tasks from the roadmap, get an overview of what was done to develop BrainDrive concierge for Matt so we can continue moving forward there, local version of BrainDrive memory to show on the call next week, and finalize the ultimate guide to local AI. Sound
Sounds
good?
good. Yep.
All right. So moving into the big picture discussion this week, which is plugins and
Yes.
what we want to potentially develop.
I like I said earlier, I have changed my approach rather than coming at this from an individual plugin point for the plugin part for the main thing. More of, here's a page, do whatever you want with it. Here are the example plugin, like our chat page. It has 3 plugins on it. However, right now we have so few plugins and there's so few opportunities to move around. It's probably best to approach things from a page standpoint. That way, nobody's worried about anything extra. If Does that make sense?
I mean, I
That's what.
know what a page is,
Yes.
and I
Uh,
know that a page has multiple or can have multiple
can have multiple
plugins.
plugins. We're going to erase that hurdle for anybody mentally. Because like, if you start out right now and you had to, how do I make sure I can communicate with X? Right? That X is an unknown and they don't know the whole system. So I'm going to erase them having to worry about X. If somebody wants to develop, here's how you develop a page. Here's how you develop. If you break your project down because you develop modular, you can break it down to 3 different plugins, like I did the chat page, and then you have 3 different plugins and you put them on your page and it operates. And that way it gives everybody their own little world to operate in. And as they learn to grow with the system, they can learn, okay, I can communicate with this now and do whatever, but they will be learning hurdles coming later on. Does You still have that confused look on your face, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm losing. Yeah, because that's
So
just a lot of technical jargon right there as far as what developers go through. Sometimes it sounds like you're giving them more, but the truth is you're just giving them the entire world to control. That way they don't have to worry about unknowns. They just know it's okay. I can do whatever I want. Number one, my goal is, like we were talking about, article summarization. So they know going into that is they have to be able to, one, accept an article, however they want to do that. um, they have to communicate with the back end, which that's already, they have examples of that, and I'll break that down in the job description when I'm doing that, so people know where to look, since I know in the code where to look, to speed that whole process up. And then they know how to print the output, the actual summarization. Um, and however they want to envision that happening, they don't have to worry about confinements or restrictions from me or an application. They can just do whatever they want.
okay. I think I understand that, but I thought what we were talking about now is what are the initial plugins that we want to build or have built?
I, I
Have
agree.
someone build.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, if they come from that standpoint, I'm thinking the which one? The model selection one, because that is Open Web UI. They did the Olama manager from there. That turns out rather well. That could make it easier for any user whatsoever. So that plugin would be taken and somebody would add a connection to when you select a llama, it will download the model for you. It'll allow you to use it. I would even love to see being able to make model file adjustments because as you've seen from the script, that's completely possible.
So the first thing is pulling models from Olama
Yep.
directly
From
from the model selector.
yep.
Okay. And then the second is
Let's see.
making adjustments to the model file.
Yep.
Okay.
Then we have our model providers. Where right now we have in the settings Olama, but we want to expand that to also be Anthropic, OpenAI, uh, VLLM, Open Router, let's see, Light LLM. Basically, anybody who has a means to communicate with a front end, we want to move into that list. And I will throw you a list that I already started working on.
Okay.
And mine is like, mine has 8 on there. And if we're doing 8, we're probably doing more than anybody else. And that way people can actually start connecting to anything after once
Okay.
that's done. Let's see. Nope. Enhance llama control. Nope. Already listed that. Mm. Oh, personas. That's the other one. Yeah, a plugin that allows that and can communicate with our current chat, which is pretty easy. They can look at our current plugin structure. Like I said, in the job description, I'll put all that there. Um, but once they know how to communicate with the existing plugin architecture, they can build their persona, put it together, and then it will start chatting. The only extra work on that one would be a little database work for however they wish to have that information reserved. That comes with
Okay.
any plugin. That comes with a lot of plugin architecture anyways.
And would you include like saving prompts as a part of that, or is that something
That
different?
would be a different plugin, a prompt library. So it would be, for lack of better words, that could be a little icon in the top right of the chat page. You select it, it gives you a drop down of your last 10 saved prompts or however you want to organize them. Um, the plugin toolbox that we have, where it allows you to you search and different categories and stuff like that in plugin in BrainDrive Studio. Do you remember that? They can do something similar, but for the prompt library.
Okay.
Um, if we got those are the core basics of that would expand us, I guess, to the next circle outward.
Okay. And what about internet search?
Um, I think we need to get we they can do that if we want to somebody have an internet search just like I have CAG and I have RAG. Those are all building processes. I think first is worried about the initial chat experience. And once we get that ironed out where people can now that you can download any model you want right there from the interface. You can save your prompts. So that way you can have a steady library of what you want to accomplish as far as prompts and recycling them. What was the next one? Oh, personas. So that you can actually tweak the model to behave how you want. And when we get that core basic going, plus links, so we need to get our clean up our chat history. Once we get there, then we can look at doing a search because when you start getting into search, your information that you're going to get back is going to change. You're going to want to be able to deal with URLs right there in the interface and not cut and paste. You're going to want it to be able to control the system prompt, the temperature, and those kind of things to be able to work with that data in the way you want to work with it.
Okay, and this is where chat with documents and RAG and stuff would come
Yep.
in as well.
Yep. That's why I had web search almost right there in that same group, because when you start dealing with chat with documents and all like that, being able to adjust your persona, that's what we call it, is where it comes into play in a key factor.
Okay, cool. So for the initial list, then pulling models from Olama directly from the model
Yep.
selector, making adjustments to the model file, models providers, the list that you're going to send me,
Yep.
personas, and saving prompts.
Yep. And then, oh yeah, do you have the settings on there for the
The model file
oh
settings.
yeah, 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 you did bring that. Okay. Yep.
Yep. All right, that seems like a good initial list.
Yeah. Cause like I said, when we get that initial, right now we're at the center of the dot. When we get that row done, that puts us in another vision to start looking at chat with documents, and, and CAG, and those kind of different little things. And they also give a chance for us to take a look at developers, their skill sets, where their strong points are, and mutual collaboration at that point.
Yeah. All right, cool. Um, all right. You wanted to talk about the Katie Carter question?
Yes, in which regard? Oh, what I learned this weekend?
Yeah.
Yes. Talking with people, because that's when you're talking with people, and I'm outside of my normal people that I talk with, so you have to introduce yourself. This is what I do, those kind of things. Everybody else knows what I do. But it's like you say AI, and one thing that glared me is like the lack of knowledge. It's like I'm in my own forest. Everybody knows about AI because that's who I talk to. You get outside of that, and people have no clue.
They have no
It,
clue.
it's what is AI? And the first jump they come to, oh, that's that deep fake stuff. That's how they make all the fake news. They're using AI. It's like it was either A, you have no clue, or B, it's only used to develop fake information. It's like, and it really demonstrates how far we have to go as an AI society before we're even close to getting there. And also opens up the opportunity, because these are people that have never touched it clearly in any way. It's, so it's like the opportunity, but all these people are walking around with laptops at the same time. It's like they're ready, they just don't know it. So it like really it makes me almost, because you keep me grounded as far as Katie Carter. It's like I really need to make sure that this thing is, when you look at it, it makes sense. Or something is there to say, click me first.
Yeah. Well, I think for Adam Carter, who's our developer,
Yep,
that's developer persona, um, being able to build on top of something that he owns and controls is the big value
yep,
proposition, right?
yep.
Um, and that's what we're going after first. Hold on one second here. Sorry. Yeah, we're having a tick infestation up here. Just give me one second.
Yep. Oh no, no, we have them here.
Yeah. Last year they weren't bad. The year before that they were terrible, and it seems like we're gonna have another bad year this year.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like normally winter clears it up for you, but hey, this winter is like,
yeah. So, all right. So, the main value proposition for Adam Carter is the ability to build on top of and customize on a platform that he owns and
yep,
controls instead of a big tech company. For Katie Carter, I think it is um, specific use cases,
yep,
right? So it's not here's an AI system, right?
yeah,
Which, okay, deep fakes or whatever. It is, this is something that all writers do in their day to day. And here is something that, used to take you an hour that now takes 5 minutes,
yep,
right? Or less, right? And so I think when we're selling to the Katie Carters of the world, what's missing right now is the chat GPTs of the world are just a blank canvas and they don't even know where to start.
what do
Um,
I do with this?
Correct. And so I think it's less about, for the Katie Carters, it's less about selling an AI system
Yeah,
and more about selling them use cases that
Yep.
actually deliver value right out of the
That
gate.
that's why I say it's like it was almost changing my approach a little bit. In the fact, I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, we need plugins. Plugins are we're gonna be here at plugins now. We're still gonna be here at plugins in the middle, and in the end, in 2 years, we're still gonna be plugin focused. But
Yeah.
for Katie, it's not about plugins. Katie is all about here's this page. This page allows me to either A, ask any question about life coaching, or this page allows me to do AI summarization, or hold on, I got a Facebook post from somebody. I want to come up with some sarcastic comment to it. Why just I throw it in there and it gives me a sarcastic instant comment
Yeah,
about,
right.
for to get put back on that post. It's like
Right.
that's what the pages are there for. And from a developer standpoint, especially, and for reaching to Katie, that's where the mentality almost has to change. Is we have to be mindful of here's our plugin, it works great, and that's great for Adam because he's going to run with that. But for Katie, we need to make sure that that page is there so that because Katie's not going to be in BrainDrive Studio. Katie wants to
Yeah.
install the plugin, have a page also working with it at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's like I can get started. And if Katie wants to get her feet wet on BrainDrive Studio, she can. The videos are there. The plugin is completely installed, but Katie's up and running in seconds,
Right.
not minutes, and not a tech struggle.
I agree with that. I also think there's like a plus 40 and a minus 40 crowd now, where the plus 40 crowd seems to like totally be head in the sand or not even really aware of this, and the below 40 crowd seems to be starting to embrace it.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of gap here to really, I guess, to come up with any knowledge, but I do know with teens, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It really, it's like, and I don't want to say the nerds and geeks, okay? Because but Carson is, we won't call him that while he's here, but he is, and he uses AI a lot. It's like he knows how to. If I'm getting stuck with this, I'm going to use AI to get like this, and then
Right.
our daughter, she just touched Chat GPT for the first time.
Right.
That kind of thing, and it's been out for years now.
Right.
And
Right.
she's older too, so it's like you would have thought it had been reversed, but it's. So I think it's by an individual, what they do in the world is their approach, and if you're more into computers, of course, you're probably more savvy there,
Yep.
and I think and it's not even phone usage, it's actual computer usage.
Yeah.
And if you're on your phone, then it's hit and miss because if it's only an app, that comes down to exposure. If you're on TikTok all the time, ChatGPT is a mile away.
Right.
Those kind of things.
Right.
So, and I think that'll come when we evolve, when we get closer to point one or 1.0. Definitely start approaching the short video concept. This is what you can do. In 15 seconds, 20 seconds, those kind of hits right there. It's like, oh, I got
Yeah,
an email.
absolutely.
Let me summarize that. Boom, done.
Right. And
You
then
know,
just, hey, it's here, go download it, click this page, and you're off to the races.
yep. And like I said, just it's a series of just short hits because that's the attention span. And in the moment you have to grab anybody dealing with the phone era. It
Yep.
has to be 20 seconds or less. You accomplish something. It's
Yeah.
like, we can, and that's I know it's a long-winded approach, but it's like my brain was this weekend was starting after having these conversations. It was like, we need to almost start that now of the plugins are important. They will always be important, but that's 5, 10, 15% of our audience. While we're doing
I
these,
agree with that, but I do think it's the early audience that we
yep,
need to
no, no,
build
no,
out.
yes, yep,
So, I'm
because they're
not
the
that
ones sitting there hungry.
yeah, they're the ones that are really going to be excited about this right out of the
Yep.
gate, and that we need to build all the use cases that we can then package up really simply for the Katie Carters of the world.
Yep. So that was just my evolution of learning this weekend of being out of my normal forest crowd.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the Reddits and the TikTok or the X's of the world, it's like, oh my God, everybody's like an AI expert, and like even we're behind. And then you get out
Yeah.
in the real world, it's like, oh, no one's even using this yet.
Exactly. It was kind of like I went on another planet type thing because it was like
Oh
having
yeah.
it was like you're having a conversation about AI and you go, oh, that's that stuff people do deep fakes on. And I was
Right.
like,
Yep. No, 100%. All right, cool. Anything else you want to talk about today?
No, I don't have any promises right now on when we're gonna hit 4, only because I wanna really clean up the documentation and the specs for the job description for other developers because we're really there. I was thinking about that over the weekend and especially this morning was it's like no matter what, we're gonna make changes and there are no changes that I can't clean up if somebody does a plugin and it's done. It's like, and then 2 weeks from now, I was like, okay, let's change this a little bit. And it's like cleaning up the plugin will be 2 seconds flat. I'm not even worried about that. But getting people to assist to help us move from our center dot where we are right now to that next row outward so that we can get closer to, hey, RAG, chat with documents, and where the real use cases start to blossom. That's the priority. So it's like we talked about last week of me changing gears a little bit this week. And yeah, it's like really does need to happen earlier on. And then like I said, I don't want to promise on being hit 4 by next Monday, but at the same time, there's not a ton of work to do. It's really a lot of little stuff to clean
To
up.
me, if we can get some developers working on this, that would be a
Yep.
huge win for this week.
Yep.
So,
Nope. I completely agree.
yep. All right, great. When do you want to talk next?
Um,
Or actually, let's wrap the call. We'll
yep.
wrap the
Okay.
call there.
Yeah.
Thanks for attending
Yep.
the weekly developer call every Monday at 10
Damn.
a.m. Fingers crossed we will actually be going live next week.
Yep.
So look out for us on the forum and on YouTube at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we always post the recordings on our forum at community.braindrive.ai. And we hope to see you there.